Jai Hind everyone, welcome back to the class of English Studies. My name is Arun Kumar, your guide, mentor and partner in the mission of mastering NDA, CDS and SSC English. Friends, in the series of 100 golden rules of spotting errors, we have so far discussed 90 rules. 90 rules from the chapters like subject verb agreement, conjunction, adjectives, pronouns. Having completed the chapters, we are now moving to the next topic, and the next topic is conditional sentence. So, before I move ahead with this topic, let me tell you what is conditional sentence. A conditional sentence is a sentence with condition. There will be two parts of the sentence. First part will be if clause, conditional clause, and the second part of the sentence will be main clause. And this is the place where paper setters play trick. So let us understand first how many types of conditional sentences are there. In total, we have four types of conditional sentence. First type is zero conditional, second first conditional, third second conditional, and fourth type is third conditional. So four types of conditional sentences. First is zero conditional, first conditional, second conditional, and third conditional sentence. Let us understand one by one each of these types. First is zero conditional sentence. What type of sentence would come under this zero conditional sentence? It talks about present time. Zero conditional sentence will refer to present condition, present time. And it will express what? Truth and facts. Universal truths and facts that cannot change. That is bound to happen and take place. So universal truth and facts will be expressed by what? Zero conditional sentence. See the example. If you heat ice, it melts. It's universal truth, scientific truth, proven truth that if you hit the ice, what will happen? The ice melts. So if it is the condition is factual, based on universal truth, proven truth, then the first part will be in present indefinite and the second part also in present indefinite. Both the parts, means if clause and main clause, will be in present tense. Remember this. If it rains, what is this? If clause. This is if clause, and this is main clause. Main clause. The ground gets wet. So if it rains, it's natural, it's obvious that if it rains, the ground gets wet. So it's proven truth. So what will happen? What you have to keep in mind? Both the clauses, if clause and main clause, will be in present tense. So in summary, what we can say in zero conditional sentence, when it expresses what? Truth, facts, or proven some facts, then if clause and main clause both will be in present tense. Now let us see the second one, this first conditional sentence. So zero conditional talked about present time, present condition. First conditional sentence will talk about future. About future, remember. And what kind of future? Which is real and possible. Any future thing, future action, or future thing which is real and which is easily possible. In this case, what happens? If you study, you will pass. So if your study is if clause and you will pass is the main clause. So what would be the tense? If you study, present tense, and the main clause will be in future tense, will. So in second type of In first conditional sentence, if clause will be in present tense and main clause will be in future tense. Why? Because this condition is possible, real, and may happen. If you study, you will pass very natural, very possible. If he calls me, if clause, I will help him. So first clause, if clause is in present tense and the main clause in the future tense. If it rains, I shall not go out. In examination, what we will get? If it will rain, I will not go out. Will on both the sides. Wrong. So in second conditional sentence, what? First part means if clause will be in present tense and main clause, the result will be in future tense. Now, rule number 93, second conditional sentence. Second conditional sentence again talks about present and future, but what it expresses something unreal, hypothetical, and imaginary situation. Here, the situation was quite possible, real. But in second one, it is imaginary, unreal situation, which is almost not possible to happen. So in this case, if I were rich, I would buy a car. So what, where, why where? Because this is an imagination, hypothetical situation, unreal situation. So in this case, where will be used with all the subjects. Where will be used with all the subjects. If he were rich, he would buy a car. In examination, what they will give you? If I was rich, I would buy a car. Wrong. Why? Because the conditional sentence, what type of conditional sentence? Second one. An imaginary situation, hypothetical situation. In this case, we shall use where with all the subjects. Remember, if she worked hard, she would succeed. So, if clause and she would succeed is the main clause. So, if she worked hard, she would succeed. Now, the next one, rule number 94, third conditional. What is third conditional sentence? Now, let us understand what is third conditional sentence. It talks about past. It talks about past. Third conditional sentence talks about past which already happened and you are just regretting, अफसोस कर रहे हैं क्योंकि नहीं हो पाया. That cannot be changed. That is why it is impossible to happen. Something past cannot be brought back, ना? तो वापस तो आ नहीं सकता. तो ऑलरेडी बीत चुका है, ऑलरेडी पास्ट. सो इम्पॉसिबल सिचुएशन बिकॉज इट हैज ऑलरेडी पास्ट. इफ आई हैड स्टडीड आई वुड हैव पास्ट. सी द पास्ट, आई हैड स्टडीड, टाइम हैज पास्ट, कैन नॉट कम बैक. व्हाट आई वुड हैव डन? आई वुड हैव पास्ट. पढ़ा नहीं तो पास नहीं किया, अब तो समय बीत गया. तो पास्ट को रेफर करने के लिए वी यूज थर्ड कंडीशनल सेंटेंस, थर्ड कंडीशनल टाइप ऑफ सेंटेंस. इफ दे हैड लेफ्ट अर्ली दे वुड हैव रीच्ड ऑन टाइम. मीन्स दे हैड नॉट लेफ्ट अर्ली, क्योंकि वो समय पर निकले नहीं इसलिए समय पर पहुंचे नहीं. टाइम हैज पास्ट, कैन नॉट बी ब्रॉट बैक. So impossible to happen. It is just a kind of regret. अफसोस हो रहा है. So what you have to keep in mind here, had is always followed by would have. Had is always followed by would have in third conditional sentence. So in a nutshell, what we can say that there are four types of conditional sentence. First is zero conditional, first conditional, second conditional, and third conditional. Zero conditional sentence talked about present time, present situation. It generally expresses what? Truth and facts, proven facts and truth. And in this, what you have to see, if clause and main clause both will be in present tense. If clause and main clause both will be in present tense. If it rains, the ground gets wet. Both in present tense. In examination, what they will do, if it rains, the ground will get wet. Wrong. Translation हिंदी में करेंगे तो सही दिखेगा, लेकिन grammatically it is wrong. Second one is first conditional sentence. It talks about future, some real and possible situation, like बारिश होती है तो मैं नहीं जाऊंगा. Possible है. So if you study, you will pass. In this type of sentence, second, sorry, first conditional, what? The first part, if clause will be in present tense and main clause will be in future tense. If clause in present tense, main clause in future tense. Then next is rule number 93, second conditional sentence. It talks about present and future both, but about imaginary hypothetical situation. कल्पना की दुनिया में ये बात करता है. If I were rich, I would buy a car. अगर मैं अमीर होता, कल्पना, imagination. So where? So where will be used with all types of subjects. He के साथ भी where use होगा, क्योंकि कल्पना. जब हम कल्पना करते हैं तो कुछ भी, कोई भी verb लगा देते हैं. तो where will always be used with all the subjects in this type of sentence. Next is third conditional, talks about past, a kind of a regret because time has already passed. Things cannot be reversed, cannot be changed back. So in this case, if I had studied, I would have passed. Had is always followed by would have. ये ध्यान में रखना है कि had is always followed by would have in this type of sentence. If they had left early, they would have. Again, had is followed by would have. So in examination, this is very, very important. All these four types. Had is followed by would have. In imagination, hypothetical situation, we have to use where. And in first type of conditional sentence, first is present and second is future tense. And if it is zero condition, then both the parts have to be in the present tense only. So these are the four rules which are very, very important for your examination. Please keep these rules in mind. So this is rule number 95. Rule number 95 says, if plus had, past perfect, is followed by would have. This rule we have already discussed in the previous slide, third conditional type sentence. So had is followed by would have. I have repeated this rule again here. Why? Because this rule is very, very important for your examination. If he had worked hard, he would pass. If he had worked hard, he would pass. Wrong, because had is followed by would have. So had, if he had worked hard, he would have passed the exam. Remember, in examination you will get question like this. If he had worked hard, he would pass the exam. Wrong. Had is followed by would have. If they had reached this station earlier, they would catch the train. Wrong, because had is followed by would have when it is a conditional sentence. Had is followed by would have when the sentence is a conditional sentence. Now rule number 96, very, very important. Unless no double negatives. Unless itself is a negative word. Unless का मतलब होता है जब तक नहीं. जब तक नहीं, नहीं उसमें जुड़ा हुआ है. Unless means जब तक नहीं. So nahi already added here, so extra not is not required. So after unless, do not use not. Do not use not. In examination, you get question like Unless you do not work hard, you will fail. Wrong. Why wrong? Because unless is already negative. Unless has already not. So why to add extra not? So what would be the correct sentence? Unless you work hard, you will fail. Very tricky. Very simple, but very tricky. Unless he does not follow the rules. Why does not wrong? Because unless is negative, double negatives with unless not allowed. So unless he follows the rules, he will be punished. So remember this: unless with double negatives not allowed is wrong. When unless is used in a sentence, not is not required. This is rule number 97. Had, where, should plus subject. If is automatically removed. All these are conditional sentences. All these are conditional sentences. Example, had if I known the truth, I would have acted. So had is followed by would have. This is correct. But if is wrong. Had itself is conditional, so conditional already had hai hi, so why if required? Not required. So what would be the right sentence? Had I known the truth, I would have acted. Had is followed by would have. What is wrong here? If. If will not be required in sentence beginning with had, where, or should. Because when they begin the sentence automatically becomes conditional. So extra conditional word is not required. Where, if, no. Why if not required here? Because the sentence is beginning with where. The sentence automatically becomes conditional, so extra condition is not required. Where I reach, I would help the poor. अगर मैं धनी होता तो आई वुड हेल्प द पुअर, मतलब गरीब को मदद करूंगा. अगर मैं धनी होऊंगा तो गरीब को मदद करूंगा. Should, if, again should beginning the sentence conditional, so if not required. Should you need any help, inform me. If so, not required. So any sentence beginning with had, where, should plus subject, then if is automatically removed if is not required in the sentence. Rule number 98. Where used for all subjects in unreal and imaginary conditions. Remember the slide 91, 92 rule? Where imagination, hypothetical situation. So if I was a bird, I would fly. This is what you will get in examination. What would be the right one? If I were a bird, I would fly. Why wear a bird? Because this is imagination. The sentence expresses what? Imagination, some imaginary situation, hypothetical situation. So in that case, we use where with all subjects. यहाँ ही भी रहता तो where लगता. If he was the manager, wrong. He would change the rules. Means he is not the manager. Imagination. वो कल्पना कर रहा है कि मैं मैनेजर हूँगा. So what will be the right one? If he were the manager, he would change the rules. Very, very important rule. If the sentence is a conditional sentence and expresses what? Imagination, hypothetical situation, then we shall use where. Where with all the subjects. Now rule number 99. But for is a conditional word. Okay. So but for imply an if condition. But for is equal to if. But for is equal to if, followed by would have. This is what you have to keep in mind. But for his help, I will feel wrong. Like you remember, had is followed by would have. So, but for is also followed by would have. This is again another rule you have to keep in mind. Had is followed by would have, and but for is also followed by would have. And this is rule number 99. Wish plus past. Wish, ichha, hoga. So if wish is used in a sentence or the sentence expresses wish, then in that case we shall use past tense, not present tense. I wish I knew the answer. Present tense, you will get examination. In examination, this type of question with present tense, which is wrong. I wish I knew the answer. She wishes she had more time. I wish I were no present. I wish I had studied harder last year. All these are based on different time reference, present, past. So wish will always be followed by past tense. And the last rule of the series, rule number 100. With this, we will close the series of 100 golden rules of spotting errors. Let us see the last rule, provided and as long as, no future in if clause. When we use provided and as long as, we don't use what? Future tense. We don't use future tense. See the example. You will be selected provided you will work hard. You will be selected provided बशर्ते कि तुम हार्ड वर्क करोगे. सुनने में सही लगता है. Translation in Hindi seems to be right, but English grammatically wrong. Why? You will be selected provided you work hard. When you use provided, we don't use future tense. We don't use future tense. What we use? Present tense. यदि तुम मेहनत करो तो तुम्हारा चयन होगा. Same here, you can stay here as long as you will follow the rules. Wrong. When provided and as long as are there in the sentence, then it will not be followed by future tense. It will be followed by what? Present tense. You can stay here as long as you follow the rules. जब तक तुम नियमों का पालन करते हो, तुम यहाँ रह सकते हो. So this rule again is very important, provided and as long as, both will always take what? Present tense in the main clause, not the future tense. So this is Arun Kumar signing off for today. See you in the next class with the new series of English grammar for the competitive exams. Thank you so much.